Good morning and welcome to Mare Island. Today is an important day for California's future. I'm Jeff Armstrong, president of Cal Poly and the Cal Poly Maritime Academy, and we are delighted to host this announcement here on Mare Island, just minutes from the Cal Poly Maritime Academy campus. Governor Newsom, our Cal Poly Maritime Academy Admiral, Captain, VP, crew, and especially these amazing cadets are proud to welcome you here today. Behind me is Golden Bear, which for more than 3 decades has served as a floating classroom, providing students with transformative learn-by-doing experiences. Earlier this summer, nearly 300 cadets returned from a voyage across the Pacific, completing the vessel's final training cruise. Golden Bear remains berthed here as we modernize our waterfront facilities and prepare to welcome the new training ship, Golden State. With sincere thanks to MARAD, and we have representatives here today and others, we look forward to welcoming this next generation vessel, which will prepare cadets to lead our nation's maritime workforce and national security. Today's gathering is ultimately about opportunity. Last year, we were honored to host Governor Newsom's joint military and Jobs First Council meeting on shipbuilding. It brought together leaders committed to strengthening California's economy through education, workforce development, and industry partnerships. Those priorities align closely with CSU Forward, the California State University, really Chancellor Garcia's vision for student success, workforce development, and economic prosperity. Governor Newsom, we are grateful to you and your team for your leadership and partnership in advancing this work. Thank you for being here today. We're also delighted to be joined by Secretary Stewart Knox, Senior Advisor to the Governor and Director Dee Dee Myers, our partner Jay Banfield, Assembly Member Lori Wilson, many Cal Poly Maritime leaders, and many leaders in the city and county of Solano and Vallejo. Here on Mare Island, we will connect students, employers, community colleges, public agencies, and industry leaders to create pathways to meaningful careers and strengthen California's workforce through upskilling and retraining. The work is bigger than any one campus or industry. It reflects a shared commitment to developing talent, driving innovation, and expanding economic opportunity across our state. None of this would be possible without the vision and leadership of Chancellor Mildred Garcia and the CSU Board of Trustees. As the 11th Chancellor of the California State University and the first Latina to lead the nation's largest and most diverse 4-year public university system, Chancellor Garcia has championed student success, workforce development, and economic mobility across California. Please join me in welcoming California State University Chancellor Mildred Garcia.
Thank you, President Armstrong. Good morning. Buenos dias. It is wonderful to be here with you on this truly momentous and celebratory occasion. Indeed, it is a great day for Cal Poly and Cal Poly Maritime, for the California State University, for the Bay Region, and for the beloved state of California. Of course, here against the backdrop of the Golden Bear, we celebrate a visionary investment to advance the critically important maritime and shipbuilding industries, an investment that both leverages and enhances Cal Poly's long history of innovation, workforce development, and transforming lives through the principles of learn by doing. But we also celebrate equally visionary and consequential direct investments in 4 additional CSU campuses: CSU Bakersfield, Fresno State, Cal State San Marcos, and San Diego State, to help ensure our state's continued leadership in the aerospace, manufacturing, defense, and quantum technology industries. I am so thrilled at the extraordinary impact this collective investment will undoubtedly have on CSU students, faculty, and staff, and on the regional economies these universities drive as vital anchor institutions within our communities. But I am also thrilled by what today represents on a more foundational level. Our nation's most consequential state and its most consequential university system in partnership and in alignment to bring about economic vitality and opportunity. More specifically, the grants announced today and the roadmap represented by the Jobs First Economic Blueprint will help advance the objectives of the CSU's own roadmap, the CSU Forward System-Wide Strategic Plan. These objectives include, among others, leading regional economic development and strengthening the CSU's position as America's leading driver of social and economic mobility. And they will help us fulfill the CSU promise that every student, almost 500,000, every student, will graduate with the opportunity for a job in their chosen field of study or with a clear path to graduate school. So I offer my deepest and most heartfelt gratitude to Governor Newsom, GoBiz, Senior Advisor and Director D.D. Myers, and California Labor Secretary Stewart Knox for this much appreciated investment and for their leadership of Jobs First. And to our esteemed legislative leaders here today, thank you. Mil gracias. Not only for your support of this impactful program, but for your invaluable partnership and everything you do for the CSU and our nearly 500,000 diverse and talented students. And to you all, please know that the CSU today and every day stands ready to serve as a resource in your important work. I am now so pleased and honored to introduce Assemblymember Lori Wilson, who represents Mare Island and the city of Vallejo in the State Assembly. The Assembly member is a relentless champion of supporting the economic growth of Solano County and understands how critical it is to invest in workforce development, higher education, and the type of programs that we are discussing today. And of course, I must add, as Chancellor, she is made in the CSU. She is a graduate of Sacramento State. Assemblywoman Lori Wilson.
Thank you, Chancellor, for that wonderful, wonderful introduction. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to District 11. Welcome to Vallejo. Welcome to Mare Island. It is an honor to be here at historic Mare Island as we celebrate an investment that represents so much more than dollars and cents. This is an investment in jobs, innovation, education, workforce development, and the future of California's maritime economy. For generations, Mare Island has been a center of American shipbuilding and maritime innovation. The work done here helped shape our nation, supported generations of families, and established Vallejo and Solano County as an important part of our country's maritime history. Today, we have an opportunity not just to honor that legacy, but to build upon it. The $8.2 million investment in California's shipbuilding industry is an important step forward for Solano County, the Bay Area, and our entire state. These resources will strengthen maritime innovation, expand workforce development, support applied research, and help prepare students and workers for careers in shipbuilding, maritime manufacturing, engineering, and emerging technologies. But investments like this succeed because of strong partnerships. I'm especially excited about the collaboration among our maritime industry, Cal Poly Maritime Academy, our Regional Workforce Development Board, and workforce partners, educational institutions, labor, businesses, and community leaders. Together, we can create a true education to career pipeline, connecting the classroom to training, training to the industry, and industry to good paying, family-sustaining jobs. And here at Mare Island, we have an extraordinary opportunity to transform this historic shipyard into a center for applied research, workforce development, and technology. It gives Mare Island a renewed role in California's economic future. And this is what economic development should look like. It's not just about bringing investment into a community. It's about making sure the investment is positioned to benefit from that investment. The community is positioned to benefit from that investment. It means investing in people. It means creating pathways from education to employment. It means preparing our workforce for jobs of tomorrow. And it means investing in industries where California has the talent, the infrastructure, the history, and innovation to compete nationally and globally. For Solano County, this is our opportunity to turn our proud maritime history into foundation for future economic growth. And as the Assembly member representing this region, I am proud to stand with Governor Newsom, Cal Poly Maritime Academy, our workforce partners, labor, educational institutions, industry leaders, local government, and our business community, who are all represented behind us today, to make that future a reality. Governor, thank you for recognizing the importance of Mare Island and the incredible potential that exists right here in Solano County. Mare Island helped build America once before. We are ready to do it again. With the right investments, partnerships, and workforce, we can help build what comes next. So let's get to work. Let's build that future right here in Solano County and right here in California. Thank you. It is now my pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Jay Banfield, Chief Economic Mobility Officer for All Home.
Thank you very much, Assemblymember Wilson. Congratulations to the Maritime Industrial Base Ecosystem Project, particularly Dr. Armstrong and Dr. Garcia. The maritime industry has a proud history in the Bay Area, and we are privileged to participate in its resurgence with you and other key partners, including Chris Rico at the Solano Economic Development Corporation and David Hubble at the Solano Workforce Development Board. As mentioned, my name is Jay Banfield. I'm the Chief Economic Mobility Officer at All Home, and it's my privilege to stand here with you all as we mark the next chapter of California Jobs First in the Bay Area, in a county that's about to become a very real example of what this work was always designed to do. All Home has served as a convener for the Bay Area, bringing together the 9 counties and hundreds of stakeholders to a single table. And here's the problem that we set out to solve 3 years ago. The Bay Area is one of the most economically productive places on Earth, but that extraordinary prosperity has existed alongside deep inequality, a shrinking middle class, and a housing affordability crisis that makes it increasingly difficult for working people to remain in the communities where they work. And that's the gap the Bay Area Jobs First Collaborative has spent the last 3 years working on closing. That is the promise of Jobs First and why this project is so special and important. In partnership with the San Francisco Office of Economic and Workforce Development and the Bay Area Good Jobs Partnership for Equity, an association of the 10 workforce development boards and regional workforce planning units across the 9 counties of the Bay Area, we built a 21-member steering committee comprising labor, government, industry, tribal communities, community-based organizations, philanthropy, and including Chris Rico as one of our members of the steering committee. It was a coordinated table that simply didn't exist before in this form. The collaborative led to a regional economic strategy grounded in real data with priority sectors identified and validated, including but not limited to healthcare, advanced manufacturing, battery and clean energy, transportation electrification, maritime, early care and education. And critically, we've moved from planning into implementation. And that work has earned real validation. The U.S. Economic Development Administration formally accepted our regional plan as a comprehensive economic development strategy, a tangible benefit of the statewide program achieved alongside every other region in the state, marking the first time in California's history that the region has had an approved and active strategy. That's an amazing accomplishment. And so before I turn it over to our next speaker, I have the privilege of presenting the plan, the Bay Area plan, to the governor. This is one of one, I will say. It's one of one document. So thank you for your leadership.
Thanks, Jay. Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
So which brings us to why we're standing here today. The Maritime Industrial Base Ecosystem Project, taking root in Solano County, is exactly the kind of outcome this whole structure was built to produce. A high-road industry producing high-quality jobs in a region ready to compete because coordination was in place. Maritime is a key sector in our region and in the state's economic blueprint. This project reflects the regional coordination needed for job creation at scale in the region. Governor Newsom, Director Myers, and Secretary Knox, this round of funding is building on a foundation that's working because of your leadership and vision, and we want to thank you all. The state's investment is exactly what will allow us to expand vital industries and realize more just and equitable economic development in the Bay Area. And with that gratitude in mind, it is my distinct honor to welcome Labor and Workforce Development Secretary Stewart Knox to the podium.
Well, first, I should thank you, Jay, because I think a lot of hard work has taken place within this region to get to where you are today. And really thinking about the Bay Area region and your team for the vision and leadership that you've had in the development of the area's Job First plan that you just submitted to the governor. And he does actually read these, so it's important documents, one of two, I'm sure. It's fitting that we gather here at Mare Island and the Maritime Academy, a place with deep roots in California's shipbuilding history, and a renewed focus on investing in people and industries that drive the region's economic growth for this area, but all of state of California. Jobs First is about investing in people, not just the projects, as we've heard today. This is all about the people that we serve and the workers that we serve. It's about ensuring Californians have access to good jobs, training, and pathways to family-sustaining careers. Here at the Maritime Academy, the state's investments will help create an integrated talent pipeline through training in maritime manufacturing to prepare more students and workers with skills needed to support shipbuilding, repair, and other industries critical to the region and the state and the nation. Under the governor's leadership, Jobs First has supported the creation of tens of thousands of these jobs and has connected Californians to new opportunities throughout the state of California in advanced manufacturing, maritime trades, clean energy, and healthcare. These investments made through this initiative are designed to help communities and workers succeed. A winning strategy, which is our workforce, which is our backbone. Dee Dee and I are out talking to industry all the time, and the one thing that we hear constantly is California has the best workforce in the nation. So we need to continue to educate, and we need to help pay for that. As we move forward, Jobs First will continue to support job creation, strengthen our industries, and ensure California remains a leader in economic opportunity. I want to thank the governor for championing this vision and our partners in all 13 regions for their dedication. And with that, I will turn it over to my very good friend and colleague, Dee Dee, for so much hard work.
Thank you, Stewart, who's been my partner in crime from the beginning on this project. Thank you for everything, Stewart. And thank you, Chancellor Garcia and President Armstrong, for hosting us here at this magnificent site, the Cal Poly Maritime Academy. It's such a privilege to be here today. And it's great to be in the Bay Area on this sunny morning, celebrating the state's incredible maritime legacy you've heard a lot about today. You know, they've been building ships here since 4 years after California became a state, back to 1854. So this is just one more milestone for this area, but also for California Jobs First. More than 4.5 years ago now, we launched this. It was the Regional Investment Initiative, and it was designed by Governor Newsom, directed us to create the single largest investment in economic development planning, pre-development, and implementation that this state has ever made, and that maybe any state has ever made. So fast forward today, after you've heard a lot about the incredible work and collaboration and rethinking and reinventing and community engagement and bottom-up conversations that have gone into making this bring us to where we are today, with this program, the Regional Investment Initiative, and these grants being sort of the flagship of all of that. Over the past 4.5 years, we've seen real and measurable progress, and what might look to most of you like a big plan in a binder, to me is like a dream come true, and I know that's for Stewart too. So to see the work of these communities in collaboration produce these plans, which are now producing real investments, is really exciting. We've seen some really interesting projects. Some of my favorites in Noyo Harbor's in Noyo Harbor District, we help fund an ice machine. I know that doesn't sound to people who aren't fishermen like a big deal, but it's a huge deal to the fishermen there who can now take longer trips and produce bigger yields. We were able to fund the Native Development Network in LA County to help Native American workers, tribal citizens, urban Indians, and Native families access quality living wage jobs. We were able to fund the launch of Space Vandenberg on the Central Coast, which will help us really produce the infrastructure to support a burgeoning space industry there. And on top of that, we're working on the workforce there as well. And we were there just last week for the graduation of 18 students, the first cohort of a workforce training program there that's creating new aerospace professionals to help support that work. So projects like these show what's possible when we invest in the unique strengths of these regions and these communities and let the communities tell us where the opportunities are and how we can help. And including the educational institutions which we see here, community leaders, the state, again, that collaboration that we've heard so much about today. And that brings me back to where we are today, again, amongst all these leaders who have been so instrumental in making this happen. It is possible to reimagine and reinvest in industries like shipbuilding, right? And that is one of our priority industries here out of this, all of this work of creating not just regional economic development plans, but a statewide strategy that focuses on the industries that are most likely to produce the greatest benefits in terms of jobs and income and investment for the people of California. So that's, and we're here today to celebrate $8.2 million into this project that you've heard a lot about. So with that, a little bit of history and so much gratitude for everybody being part of getting us to where we are today. I want to bring up the man who made it all possible, whose vision was the foundation, whose leadership has brought us together. So with that, Governor Gavin Newsom.
To the Chancellor, Mr. President, thank you for having us here. To Madam Mayor, thank you for the privilege of your presence. To former Mayor Schaaf, to our Assemblywoman, to many of our cadets and esteemed guests, I'm grateful for the opportunity to be here. The 9th such occasion since we launched 4.5 years ago our Jobs First initiative. We launched this initiative officially in Fresno, California. We've been up to the Redwood Coast. We've been down to the border. We've been all over the state of California trying to reconcile that disparity that Jay speaks of, trying to address the issue of the urban-rural divide, recognizing that the state vision is realized locally. Localism, as I say often, is determinative. It's about regions rising together. Regions, cities, counties are in the how business. State is in the what and why business. State's vision economically is realized locally. So this notion of an economic development plan had to be bottom up, not top down, had to be informed by leaders in the grassroots, community leaders all across the state of California. Over 10,000 people participated in the development of these plans. This is an exercise, as Jay said, simply never been done in the state's history. When people say, what is the economic and workforce development strategy of the state of California? We say we don't have one. We have 13 strategies because it's really an intersection of these regional economies that make the California economy the 4th largest in the world. And I'll remind you, it is the 4th largest in the world. For all of those with the old talking points, it may be time to update your talking points, including, by the way, some of the new information that just came in 48 hours ago, that last year California enjoyed more investment than all of the other 49 states times 3 last year. $366 billion was invested into over 4,000 startups in the state of California. We simply have no peers. You don't see that on the headlines. You don't, and you should, because there's simply no other economy in the world like the state of California. And you say, well, that's a bit hyperbolic. No, it's not. Bloomberg ran the numbers. Since 2019, California's GDP has grown over 40%, not only more than any other state in the nation, not only more than the United States of America, more than any developed economy in the world. We have no peers. And it's not just in AI. It's not just in technology. Quite the contrary. those 4,000 startups, by definition, weren't all based in Silicon Valley, weren't all based here in the Bay Area. It's the diversity of this economy that also allows us to lay claim to being the #1 factory economy in America. #1 manufacturing economy, $425.6 billion of output, 39% of the nation's manufacturing here in California, $62.1 billion of economic output with our farmers and our ranchers. You talk about an ag economy. You talk about an economy of hunting jobs and forestry jobs. You're talking about the great state of California. So my state of mind is quite fixed on what's right. It's also fixed on reconciling what's wrong. And that's precisely what brings me back to this plan. What Jay said was important. Not only is this a first, but it's also important to know that it's not, as Dee Dee implied, just a document collecting dust. It's also the first time that we not only funded these plans, $5 million grants equally to the 13 regions, but we also said, if you have big ideas, don't wait. Go. You have ready-to-go ideas? We distributed $14 million. In the process of developing the plans, we said, we want you to strike. We then followed up with $120 million of ready-to-go project grants, which allowed, by the way, this region to get about $8.99 million. In fact, exactly $8.99 million for a dozen-plus projects as they were working to print the plan. Today, we're announcing an additional $48.5 million, all told, $429.5 million. So close to $450 million supporting this work all across the state of California. Action, not just idealism, implementation. Regions, again, in the how business, supporting projects in real time, including the $8.2 million that the Assemblywoman and Dee Dee referenced as it relates to the investments that bring us here, celebrating our proud maritime. Not just our proud past, our present, and what we hope reignites the future. Eat your heart out. Nothing like this anywhere in the Western United States. But it's not what it once was. It wasn't the vision in 1854, when we were constructing, building the middle class, had an industrial policy in this country. We got to get that back. We got to jumpstart that again. And so that's the vision behind this. That's the vision that led to the $8.2 million of those new grants coming specifically to shipbuilding and maritime here. And of course, those grants across the other regions supporting the diversity of this nation's most remarkable, resilient economy, the tent pole of the U.S. economy. Period. Full stop. And so with pride, yes, but humility, as it relates to areas where we can improve. I'm grateful, Jay, for your hard work, and thank you for presenting me this plan. 4 more stops to go, and we'll have finished the work, but nothing more important than the issue of work, jobs, and the economy, and I'll close on this: affordability. I'd be remiss, because repetition is important. Just last week, we announced we passed 1 million mark for college savings accounts and career savings accounts for Californians, which is a point of pride, up to $1,500 to offset the cost of college. It was just a week or so ago we announced that we had fully implemented universal preschool, a brand new grade for all 4-year-olds. It saves up to $13,000 for working families. First in the nation with 2 free school meals. Over 1 billion free school meals have been served in a community school model that will compete with the best in the private sector that we also announced and advanced, including the first asthma inhaler provided free to over 10,000 schools in the state of California, building on nation-leading efforts to reduce the cost of drugs, pharmaceutical drugs, including insulin, through CalRx. Forgive me, but I wanted to remind folks that we're very fixed on jobs, workforce, the economy, careers, and the cost of living here in the state of California. So again, thank you all very much for all your hard work. Thank you to the Golden Bear for her hard work. Captain, where are you, Captain? 30, get up here. 40 years. And how many years have you been helming this thing?
Since 2022, 4 years.
And
going
what do you
on
want to
5.
say before we say goodbye to the ship?
Well, I want to say thank you to the Golden Bear and all the people, the cadets, the faculty that have trained all the mariners through 3 decades of generations. And we are looking to the future with the new ship, and the future looks very bright.
Look at that. Great way to end it. Future looks bright. Thank you. Thank you. With that, we'll answer questions in just a moment. Thank you, guys. for a fun fact, there's 7 of these, 6 of them state managed across the country. One's federal. We got the new boat coming in the next year, but we're only generating about half of the cadets we need in this country. So it's an area of workforce that needs to be invested in, and this will give us double the size of folks and capacity. So the new ship coming in, and so Cal Poly. Cal Poly. What makes Cal Poly unique? It's work by doing. So the merger of the academy with Cal Poly was long overdue, and I'm so pleased to see it happen. It happened within almost a year, less than a year and a half, which is about as fast as it gets in academia, particularly, but in government as well. So anyway, it's a point of pride, and these guys make over $150,000 a year after graduating, and it's 6 months on, 6 months off. So it's a good career anyway. I'm promoting the career. If you're out there, you should take a look at the opportunities.
Have you ever been to Annapolis?
I haven't. I do love that guy, though. Wes is my friend, until he's not. I told him that, until you're not. You never know with politicians. They get tough sometimes behind the scenes, but I haven't been.
I'm going to ask you an end of session question since it's the last week.
Okay.
There is a draft trailer bill proposal from your administration that would give a specific environmental coastal act carve out to a Santa Monica developer that's an appointee and also a donor of yours, Jeff Worth. So both state representatives from the area have said that they are opposed to that budget trailer bill. Can you just talk a little bit about why you're pushing for that so last minute, and what do you say to the?
I'm not going to comment about any pending bills, but I did have
it came from your administration.
Well, because I don't tend to comment, as you know better than anyone. But I also know it's a work in progress, because I actually had an opportunity to talk with one of those representatives just 2 days ago, and he offered feedback, and so it was very healthy feedback, and we're in the process of negotiating and discussing it with him. That's why.
Speaking of ships, the Solano County Board of Supervisors last night voted to at the last minute on California Forever to make it easier for a shipyard or manufacturer to come here and develop. What's your reaction to that, and will you continue pursuing that?
Well, the regional plan we just put out was all about economic development, jump-starting shipbuilding, jump-starting so the reindustrialization of one of the most iconic industrial parts of California and our country. Solano County is struggling vis-a-vis other counties in the state. It's the highest unemployment rate of the 9 counties. And we have an opportunity to make investments in housing and infrastructure, create jobs, opportunities, middle-class jobs. I think that's a healthy thing. They didn't deny it, the Board of Supervisors. They delayed it. But delay can be denial in the context of the competitive landscape that's out there. You saw that with Sardonic. And time matters. And I think that's why there was an effort. You could talk to representatives here, and they could tell you more, to see if they can create some certainty, which is the issue in California. It's not about bypassing process. It's about limiting process so it's not abused. It's what the SECA reforms are about. It's what the larger efforts in terms of addressing the issue of the paralysis and just the frustration and navigation, this jungle gym, not even a ladder of permitting that exists and persists in so many categories of economic development in the state. So I think I think the board will ultimately embrace the tenets of that project, and particularly the question that they were posed with. I can't imagine they're not going to be supportive.
Confirm the legislative deadline being August 31st. You're not going to try to pursue that act.
Well, this just happened. I haven't even had a chance to process it with the team.
That's not yes or no?
Well, there's no such thing. I'm not accepting a binary, because there's yes, no, and maybe. Because we have to see. This just happened last night. I'm here with you this morning. I'm going to Sacramento after this. I'll be meeting with the team on, I think, 3 or 4 dozen bills. A lot of things that you never ask about that we're working on, and things you do ask about we're working on. And so we'll work through that, and we'll assess.
Governor, at this point, though, do you support California Forever's proposed industrial plan for Solano County?
Well, I thought the question the board was asked, I would have voted for that in a nanosecond. I don't understand it.
Yeah, they said it was rushed.
Well, continue to do what you've done, you'll get what you got. Things are changing. I think look, I've been saying this. I have my sell-by date. I'm not offering any advice. It's running out the clock here. we got to step up our game in this state. We got to step up our game. You want to compete. The world we invented is competing against us. And it's tough out there. I mean, we're blessed. $366 billion investment last year. But don't put your feet up on, Jay. You got to invest in your lead. You got to lean in. That investment wasn't made because the permitting process here is so effective. It was made for different reasons. Imagine if we can address the permitting issues and the uncertainty issues with the kind of level of capital people want to invest in the state. Sky's the limit. We'll be the second or first largest. I mean, eat your heart out, the United States. I mean, we're not even close to what we're capable of becoming. And I think this is indicative of that. And a lot of things, that just years and years, and it's just paralysis by analysis. And then it's just, this notion of grievance and victimization that somehow I wasn't included in, even though something's been out there for years and years and years. Well, lead. People are struggling. People are suffering. This community, a lot of people are left behind. They want jobs. They want economic opportunity. They want good jobs. They want union jobs, while the unions are supporting this project. They want housing. We need more housing in the state. Everyone's got to do their part. And so, it's easy to punt something, but there's going to be some reckoning. You lost a refinery here. You lost a brewery here. You lost a dry dock here. Jelly Belly you lost. I mean, this is my commute. And I've watched it the last couple of years. So I don't want to, I'm not attaching myself to any specific proposals. I'm attaching myself directionally. And it's very consistent with everything I've been promoting and delivering the last few years with the legislature. And I'm just hopeful on this and many other projects so we can really start to focus on the key question of time to delivering answers and ultimately projects.
Governor, on the same note with California Forever, has your office had conversations with them about supporting their efforts in Collinsville?
This is what we do. This is why I have I have two agencies. That's all they do. It's literally workforce and economic development. So that's of course we have for years and years.
But I asked because GoBiz was disappointed, it seemed in a memo, that the Saronic bid obviously didn't want to.
Well, that was, I was engaging with them directly as well. Look, that was a combination of factors. There was a massive subsidy. I mean, that's a race to the bottom in Texas. They're not even, I mentioned the $366 billion investment. You might be curious what the number 2 state was and what the investment was. So $366 billion in California last year. $27 billion was the number 2 state, and that was New York. It wasn't even Texas. What Texas does, they don't do startups. See, we're inventing this world. Future happens here first. They just try to compete for the expansion of that increment, and then they write a huge check to subsidize it, just as he's done all those damn data centers, and then he learns. Regretting that a little bit. So that's their economic strategy. Ours is a little different. We have conveyor belts for talent like Cal Poly. We have 18% of the world's R&D. We have a formula for success. It's by design, not by chance. So it's a different approach. But the time issue was legit for Sardonic, but also this massive subsidy. And they needed to know. So to me, it's not the only reason, but it's reinforces my point, and it may a little bit more here.
What do you feel though? Feel they're being run over by people like California Forever in terms of data centers?
Was it a data center proposal? I don't know. It wasn't.
People are worried about it.
Well, come on. Process. Local. What is? I mean, you guys, you're gonna have to get a new bingo card for Becerra, but localism's determinative is sort of one of the golden oldies. You guys will, I mean, come on. So I mean, I get that, but I'm also just this sort of just inability for local government to get out of its own way too is infuriating. And I say that as a former mayor of San Francisco, former county supervisor with legendary NIMBYism. That sort of marked so much of the challenges the state faces. It's, and so we've been trying to roll some of that and just more transparency, more accountability. But yeah, we support localism. We support local decision making. So what I say to that is exactly what I just said to you. I support localism. I support that. But this framework is a well-established framework. I don't think it was a big ask that was being asked of the Board of Supervisors, nor do I think they thought it was either. They delayed it. They didn't deny it, and I think it's inevitable they'll ultimately embrace it.
Hi, Governor. Two things. Thanks for taking the time. I interviewed your wife 3 years ago when you helped launch the Dolly Parton Library in California. Can you just share first what she meant to you? Number two, with Attorney General Rob Bonta just before this, as he announced a new lawsuit against President Donald Trump on the mail-in ballot matter. Can you just provide some comment on that?
Well, I've made this crystal clear. Donald Trump knows he's going to lose the election. The only way he has any chance is to rig it and to steal it. And we don't need a history lesson to be reminded of what he did after January 6th. He tried to light democracy on fire. He tried to steal the election. He tried to do the same thing when he called Greg Abbott and saying he's entitled to 5 seats in a mid-decade redistricting. He's been trying to do that consistently to our state for months and months and to other states across the country as it relates to accessing voter rolls. He's been doing that in terms of intimidation tactics, including putting BORTAC teams down there at Dodger Stadium on the day of the election last November in order to intimidate diverse communities from coming out and voting. He tried to do that by sending out DOJ monitors saying the election's rigged. He tried to do that by going to the court by actually asserting the election was rigged. And thank God the court didn't take that case. These guys are not screwing around. He's ruthless. Just about 2026. It's also about 2028. So absolutely, we need to litigate, and we also need to prepare, and that's why we have tens of millions of dollars in the budget to support county officials, and that's why we also have strategies to have to require a higher level of accountability, felony, for people that interfere in elections. And we're working with the legislature, many of the bills we're working on. We'll be discussing this afternoon to see where we land on those as well. So combination of all those factors that need to be leaned in. And as it relates to Dolly Parton, what I love is the punditry. That I love that everyone loved her. I loved that everyone loved her for all the right reasons, that she was other people oriented. I think the biggest thing that defined her spirit was that she grew taller because she lifted other people up. And I think that's a life worth emulating. It's a life worth living. And in a world where it's so reductive, it's so short-term, it's so extractive, getting mine, what a contrast to what's going on in Washington, D.C., and what a contrast for our children to look to someone like Dolly Parton for inspiration.
Governor, Senate Democrats yesterday released their proposal on wildfire accountability and utility. There's a direct contrast to your proposal. They want to continue subrogation for insurance companies, whereas your proposal said you would want to stop
Let's
it.
keep those insurance companies, keeping them ahead of the victims. I don't. They do. I mean, if you're with the insurance companies and you think they should be paid before victims, okay. I mean, that's a point of view. I'm not going to defend that. If you think hedge funds should get paid before victims, you can defend that. I'm not going to defend that. If you think billboard lawyers should get paid before victims, you can defend that, and I'm not going to defend that. So our proposal doesn't do any of those things. They may have a different point of view. Insurance industry is going to do everything to make sure they get paid first, to make sure through subrogation claims they get theirs. Hedge funds want to get theirs. Billboard lawyers want to get theirs. And then they'll prop the victims up and they'll say it was always about the victims. Was it? Our proposal is about the victims first and about accountability for CEOs. No bonuses if you have a major safety violation. And if you continue to have safety violations, we need stepped up sanctions so that we can take over the utility. We also want to 10x the fines to shareholders who also should have skin in the game if they're not meeting those safety requirements. Again, or you can defend the status quo. And I assure you, I promise you, I don't think this, a lot of experience in this space, having done 2 wildfire funds. You need to be here in a matter of months with a new administration and a new legislature, and they're going to have to make tough choices. This is not easy. You're going after major, powerful, entrenched special interests. This was out of a plan that we did together, an independent analysis, and I hope people read that analysis. because it said the status quo is untenable in the short term and in the long term catastrophic potentially. And what that will mean is the victims even further behind chasing crumbs in bankruptcy court. And I'm just not going to leave without trying. And I'm not naive. I feel like Lombardi or something. Did you lose? No, we just ran out of time. I wish I had a few more months here. I got a few more months, but a few more at best with the legislature on this. I get how hard it is, and I talked to those same folks that were talking to me about those other bills you were referencing the other night. It's hard, and of course it's hard. The first two were hard. It's complicated. You have a lot of new members. What's subrogation mean? What is it? No one. It's tough stuff. It takes years to even understand the language of this, and so at least I think we're making progress, and we have some ideas, additional ideas. We're creative. It's part of my day today, tomorrow, and my Friday and Saturday and Sunday, and we're gonna, we're lean forward. I'm confident we're gonna make progress. I want to just keep leaning forward.
But where does the three-party deal lay with the legislature ending next Monday? The session ending next Monday. Where does the three-party deal stand? When are we getting bill language,
I know. This is the question we want to know.
So you're still determined to not hand over next to the rest of the next governor?
I'm going to try to clean up as much of it as I can.
Would you call a special session if it doesn't come together?
And I'll answer that as much as I can. It's the art of possible. I'm actually might be an expert in this. You've never heard me say that about it much. I have a little experience in this subject matter, so I also understand the limits. I understand reality, but we're gonna clean up some of it, and I'd like to, and we're gonna create a pathway where they can quickly do what I think inevitably will need to be done. And to the extent there's a special session. I'm sure Lori she would love a special session. But do the people's work. So I don't. No, it's the. We'll see how life unfolds. There's a lot of time between now and that 72-hour rule. It's 4 more months to the end of the year. Yeah, all right. So.
But can we get you to respond though? Because just in fairness to give you an opportunity to say how you feel about this. The coalition against what you're proposing.
Yeah.
Oh God.
How about the support I've gotten from the people I'm opposing? Probably 3x more. I imagine they're admitting that, aren't they? Ask Rex how much those guys have supported. How much the trial attorneys? Come on. That's not how you guys know me well enough. Know how I operate. I've been at this and this topic in particular. You can look back how we manage all that. It's interesting. That's a good question because last year we were. I'm not sure we are this year. Also, up in Placer County. It's a good question. And we need to depopulate the Fairplain. So that's just and that's disappointing that they go there.
Governor, that you're selling in Sacramento. You filled the 5,000.
Are you serious? Really?
Did you fill the wine?
No, I never filled it. I didn't even know it had that much until I read that in your newspaper. I literally didn't even know that. Seriously. By the way, I put books in there. I don't know if you saw the photos. There's no wine there. It's books. Yeah. Well, trust me, it's my only inheritance from my father.
Last dumb question. Gun to your head. Favorite Dolly Parton song?
I will always love you because that was the swan song from the family, right? So it seems like that's the thematic one. And I will always love you, and especially you, for all these questions. I'm going to miss you.
Can I just get your reaction to the Meta settlement? Something else about that. You seemed like that was a good move, but is that going far enough that they need to do more?
Yeah, it's 100 pages. All of it, but I will say it reminded me. It's interesting. I got a ping Senator Skinner. Reminded me of the 2022 bill I signed that these same folks litigated, net choice. The age-appropriate design bill of 2022 reminded me a lot of the bill I signed in 2024, SB 1976, which dealt with mental health and harms. You quite literally look at least the review I did, top line, it was what we said needed to happen, and it seems to have happened on the back end through litigation. Now, there are questions, and this is, again, part of my afternoon, of what pending bills with the legislature we've been working on, how that also overlays on the settlement and where those gaps are. And there could be some last-minute amendments to address that on the basis of what this settlement ultimately offers. But 51 states, my understanding, and I think it's an encouraging development. It's the right question on $201 billion of top-line revenue. Top line is 17. It's the right question. If that Which one's that?
It was Senator Wahhab's bill that would require more oversight for Alameda County slush fund spending and everything.
I haven't done that, looked at it yet.
They're
No.
urging you to veto. She's worried about some of the nonprofit spending and no oversight over it. Still haven't.
Oh, wait, she mentioned that at the same event. The paper on that. Yeah, so I got to get to that. I'm not kidding. I don't know. It's in my position. It's in my paper. There's a lot of bills. There's 800 bills. So I got
a story to write.
I know you got a story. Newsom. We'll take a look. Good.
Friday marks 6 months since the war with Iran broke out.
It's been 6,
Would you say that it's still driving economic uncertainty in California, and how do you address that at the state level?
To continue to lean the economy, worried about how fragile. You saw today, nationwide, diesel prices are near record high, and how that's impacting farmers and blue-collar workers in this country disproportionately. Inflation continues to be stubborn. The impacts of, what Trump just did in terms of the impacts of these tariffs and this trade war, that's going to disproportionately hurt those northern states, particularly states like Maine and Michigan, Ohio, on tariff war in Canada. All these things are, creating a lot of pressure and a lot of stress, and Trump's just complete inability to figure this out on how the hell he ends this war in Iran. And you saw some of the reporting as it relates to how China is responding to those secondary sanctions in this D-Day, as Bsky says, in terms of the economic sanctions. So he's just created an unbelievable mess, and it's going to take years and years and years to clean it up. And we're just going to have to continue to do our best under these circumstances. And I'll just close on that without quoting Prime Minister Carney, who I think he said, "Nous sommes met chez nous," that you kind of clean up your own house. Meaning it's not what happens to you, it's how you respond to what happens to you. And I think that's indicative of what we're trying to do here today. We're responding not by just lamenting about it, but by leaning in, by suggesting maybe Solano needs to lean in, by suggesting that we need to step up our game across the series of issues, by suggesting we can't just delay difficult decisions, that we have to take on vaccine and tough stuff. And I think this moment demands that across the spectrum of issues. Thank you, guys.